Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Empyrion Galactic Survival workshop with the Gazbeard, where we are working on a ship codenamed Broadsword. And if you want to know why she's got that name, you need to watch the previous video. This is episode 2 of the build, and the eagle-eyed among you will have noticed a few shape changes on the hangar pods. Particularly with regard to these first 4 or 5 rows of blocks around the engines and around the entrance. A little bit of infilling starting to happen on the sides. Some slight shape changes have occurred. The geometry has changed a little bit. At the back here, everything's looking a lot more smooth and streamlined, shall we say. Down here underneath, there's been a few little changes, and I'm still not entirely happy with that section there. But we shall see what happens. We will bear with it for a little bit. And the big difference has been underneath, because as I said in the last video, I have filled in the floor of the hangar. I've done a little bit of shape language on the bottom here just to add some interest to it. And on the inside, and I need to view this from the top so that you can see what I'm talking about. Shall we go in the right direction? It might help. You can start to see her profile is working out quite nicely there. As we come in on the top, in this bow section, we've got a little bit of the flooring done, we've got a little bit of the armor done. Down here in the center, you can see this raised walkway, which is actually the outer part of the hull for under there, that section there. Oops, again, wrong direction. So that's in place. The hanger ends are in place on the inside. A little bit of shape language going on there. And these thrusters have been encased. Now, we do need to talk about thrusters. We have a small problem occurring on the ship. If you remember last time round, we had 2 XL thrusters in the stern providing forward thrust, 8 large thrusters spaced around the front of the hangars giving retro thrust. We've got 8 large pointing down giving lift, 4 large pointing up giving descent, and we've got 2 large on each side giving lateral thrust. Now, if we take a look in the ship's stats, then you can see that that is going to be a bit of a problem. So, those 2 XLs in the stern are giving 1,840 meganewtons of forward thrust, equates to an acceleration of 302 meters per second squared. And obviously, because of the game's limitations, the ship's got a maximum speed of 100 meters per second. It would reach that even if I only put 1 very small thruster in the stern. It would eventually reach that. It would just take it a long time to do so. The retro thrusters, the 8 retro thrusters in the forward section of the ship, are providing 1,537 meganewtons of thrust, which, as you can see, is 300 meganewtons less than the forward thrust. That means she's not going to stop quickly. It will take her a little while to stop. So we may have to change out those 8 forward thrusters, retro thrusters, and put in a pair of XLs so that forward and reverse thrust are balanced. That's very, very critical to combat, having forward and reverse thrust balanced. unless you're a suicide jockey in a small missile ship who likes to charge in regardless and doesn't care about stopping. Unfortunately, Broadsword, that's not her role. Now, the other thing that we've got 1,500 meganewtons of lift, which is fine. It's okay. We've only got 768 of down thrust, so we need to double the up and down thrusters. And I would like to go with having a pair of XL thrusters top and bottom, or maybe one XL thruster top and bottom with supported by 4 of the medium thrusters, 4 of the XL thrusters for rotational control, so that the primary lift and the primary down thrust comes off 1 XL and 4 large thrusters in the corners, as it were, giving directional rotation. The big problem that we've got right now is lateral thrust. 384 meganewtons coming off the 2 large thrusters on each side is not enough. That is far, far less than it needs. As you can see, the actual acceleration is 1/5 of the acceleration from the 2 XL thrusters in the stern. So we need to address that. Now, we could put another pair of large thrusters on each side. That would take us up to 126 meters per second squared, or 768 meganewtons. It's still not enough. We need to be up in this 1600 range. So again, what we probably need to do is to have at least 1 XL thruster on each side, supported by at least 2 large thrusters for directional control. Now, we're going to get 920 meganewtons of just 1 XL. That would give us 1,300 meganewtons by adding 1 to each side, which is getting closer to where we should be. We in fact would probably need to add 2 larges to each side plus an extra large, and what that would then do is that would bring us up to my maths has just completely vaporized from my head. That would then bring us up to 16, call it 1690, nearly 1700 of meganewtons thrust laterally, which is much more where we need to be for in-combat maneuvering. So we've got some work to do on reposition these thrusters. Now, I'm going to start in the bow, and I'm going to put 2 XLs in the bow and strip out a lot of these large thrusters. But first, as always, we need to put the symmetry plane on, so that whatever we do on one side of the ship gets mirrored onto the other. And we want to click on the core, press N, and click on the symmetry plane, bring it back up, press N to close that panel, because you can't maneuver with that panel open. And we need to get these thrusters right before we even think about the armor. We've got some of the shape language in place, but we need to change some of this to armor. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply use this to take these out. Just change it to a full cube, make sure that we are hitting the right areas. So we'll take that out. We'll take that out. Because we're in creative, we don't pay for replacement parts. We get them for free. So we take those out. And then we come back to the center here. And the only place realistically that we could put the XLs is in here. So we need to take an extra row of blocks out, or an extra set of blocks out. If we get these shaped blocks out the way first. Need to go up one as well. Oh, this is going to be kind of tricky. Ooh, going to be very tricky. Across one. Need to go back another one. Let's just slide over a bit, make sure that we're on line with the face of the hangar. Now you can see why it's going to be tricky. We've broken through the floor under there, which is okay, because at this stage we can still rebuild everything up there. But we need to open this out so that the thruster itself is not obstructed. So just to verify, both sides have now opened up. Now, because these are so close to the center line of the ship, they're not going to assist with turning or climbing or diving on the ship. They are pretty much on the center line pivot point of the ship, which is rough, or will be roughly there. That will be the both side to side, the lateral and the vertical center line of the ship. So let's just bring in a couple of extra large thrusters. There they are there. 1, 2. So number 4. Let's just get it laid on that way first, and then I think that's the way we want to rotate it to see what's underneath. Now what we need to do is we need to position this so that this is going to be a little bit tricky because of all the work that we've already done. I think that's where it needs to go. If I get up here a bit, what are we looking at? We're looking at a 6 long block, and in there we've got 1, 2, 3. No, it needs to go all the way back. Or does it? No, it can afford to be there like that. And the other one's automatically been put in place. I could actually have afforded to put that out a little bit further and have these ventry fins pushed out. And I think I would have preferred that. I would have preferred it 1 block forward. Yeah, okay, let's do that. Right, there we go. Right, so it's not there, it's there that we want it. I believe that's right. So 2 blocks exposed there, like that. And those ventry fins should just be out. There they are, yes. That's where we want it, like that. And then we can build around those, filling in here. Now, I'm not going to fill it in immediately because I want to start putting some combat steel and some hardened steel around these things. And it's going to be much easier to do that from the layers that we've got without going back in. So what I need to do to upgrade, I believe, number 1, put it on upgrade. We need 10 titanium plates initially per block, and then I believe it's 10 sathium. So if I just bring in a full stack of titanium plates, where have they gone? There they are. Bring one of those in. We'll just do a dunk and then 10 sathium. So there's the sathium plates. Do a dunk there. So we'll just initially upgrade these to hardened. this inner wall of blocks needs to come up as well. Remembering the front of the ship tends to receive the highest level of fire. That's hangar door, so we can't upgrade those. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that frontally the ship is defended. Now, I'm kind of tempted to make this whole floor area here across into here combat steel as well, and also bring not combat steel, hardened steel, and bring the hardened steel here back as well. These cavities are for decoy generators, so this needs to be basically a reinforced brick in this area in order to put the decoy generators in here. And you see these ones are a couple of blocks off to the side. That's to pull fire away from the thrusters. So this cavity and any block touching it needs to come up into hardened steel. Right, so all of them are done. We just got the top layer to do, which is going to be a lot easier to get at than the ones down here. Just make sure that we've got that entire beam across there done. And what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to take out that block there purely so that I can upgrade that one, and then we'll put that block back in, and need to upgrade that one. So this is going to be like the bulkhead where the armor pretty much stops. I mean, I could extend it straight across there for now, but I'm more interested in getting the area around these new engines done, which is why also I'm not doing this area up here yet. Now you can see there, that block, I don't need to remove it. If I put that one in, the block above this one is done, and I can do that. Let's just do that as well. Might as well get that done. But you know what? Let's just take it to there. So we said it was that block, didn't we? The one underneath it is done. So that's them all done. The rest of this frontal area I can do off camera. Now we just need to verify. There's the thrusters. They're not obstructed in any way by any part of the hull. So just as a final symmetry move, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring in some hardened steel blocks, which will be on that menu. Hardened steel blocks, bring those in, and we'll use those to build up this central section around these engines. Thrusters, not engines. And I've done that, and I really should be thinking about anything forward of this line here should be combat steel. So let me just take them back out like that. And do we need to take that out to get at them? I don't think we do. No. Right, so everything down there needs to be combat steel. Anything external facing. So let's do it from the outside first. So we'll get all of this outer layer taken up into combat steel on this central line block. And at this stage, I'm kind of thinking, you know, she's going to make a great battle wagon if I do this properly. And I'm kind of tempted to upgrade her from being a support carrier to being a frontline carrier. Because all of this reinforcing around the front is going to give us some good survivability. Do we want combat? Yeah, we want combat steel all the way through there, don't we? And be a little bit of a waste to leave her as a back row support vessel with this much armor and capability. And yeah, so I'm probably going to be chopping bits out of this video. I'll leave this bit in to let you know it's been happening, because this is already getting much longer than I wanted. We're heading to about 50 minutes already at this point of recording, and I wanted to keep these videos to about 15 minutes. Gives it symmetry up with that side, which means that one needs done, that one needs done, that one on. That one we said we'd do one layer of combat behind the hangar door. That little bit down there that's combat. So that layer there behind the thruster needs to come up to combat. In which case, I think everything around the hangar door back to the bulkhead is going to have to become combat steel. But I'll look at that off camera, see how we get on. Right, so we want to put this front shaping back in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a stack of combat steel blocks, number 7. That way we can make use of the symmetry plane. And what we want to do is we want to get the combat steel at least back to the back of the engines. Now that's going to just put a great big brick of combat steel in here. That's fine. That's, you know, that's solid. So start with it there. This is definitely going to become a frontline battle carrier now, because we've got way too much combat steel in her. The CPU cost is going to be horrendous. Obviously all this has got to go up to combat steel, but I'm leaving it like that for now so we can see what is and isn't done. Right, so we need to put the floor across there and get the thrusters enclosed now, and we'll do that very, very quickly using block symmetry. Like that, and like that. That needs to be solid block. Take that across to there. Get the thruster locked in. Yeah, definitely going to have to be a battle carrier now. There's no way the expense of this ship is going to make it a support carrier. Right, so we want decoy generators in there, and we can put a decoy generator in the front. right in there. So that'll be 3 tier 1 large decoy generators, which will be generating power the rest of the time. So we want to take those 3 rows there, like that. We only need 3 slots for the decoy generator. And we'll put that there. And we'll put that across to there. How deep in there are we? Let's have a look. I think that's the edge of the combat, of the hardened steel. Right, so the generator's there. There's going to be a lot of steel forward of it. It's going to be what? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be 5, 6 rows of steel forward of that generator. So we can afford, in fact, to put a generator in there already. That's a big block of steel that's going to be in there. How is this affecting the CPU points? Let's have a look. Combat steel blocks, we've already used 21,000 on those, using 10% of the number of blocks that we've done with regular steel. 21,000 for 500, 64,000 for 5,000 there. That's the difference in using the combat and the hardened steel. And you can see here we've got 120 hardened steel blocks still in place, using 2,500. This is where we start eating into the CPU, is with these upgraded armor blocks. So we need to be careful with those. You can see the thrusters. 4 XL thrusters are costing us exactly the same CPU as 16 large thrusters. So how does that look on the thrust right now? So we got 1840 meganewtons retro thrust, 1840 meganewtons forward thrust. So she'll stop as fast as she accelerates, which is great. That's what we want. Now we need a severe lift boost so that we can get her to lift and to descend reliably with heavy loads on board. And we also need that lateral thrust. You can see the lateral thrust has already dropped to 50 meters per second because of adding that combat armor. And in fact, this 239 meters per second was originally what, 380, something like that, at the start of the video. You can always scroll back and verify it, but that's had quite a drop in thrust. And I think what we're going to need to go back onto the thruster side of life, and whilst we can leave those big thrusters up there, we are also going to need to put in here at least a large thruster on each side to assist with yawing, twisting about the vertical axis, as it were. It will help with turning. Obviously, the major effect on yawing will be the lateral thrusters here, but these ones will help. Having one there and one in the stern on each side will help a lot, as well as increase the forward and reverse thrust in combat. And you notice I'm leaving these engine slots open at the moment. I'm not closing them off because we may end up having to put more large thrusters in there once we get the ship fully armored and up to weight. And as you can see, this is quite a cutting away of armor here on the center line. So I'm going to very quickly, oh, we need to do that from underneath. We've got that deck blocked out now. Okay. So I need to get this deck done from in here. And just get this done here. anything that's exposed to the outside world or dead on the center line next to it is in combat steel. Right, so there we could revert back to hardened steel from this point on, but I want to put a lag shot block in there because that is dead along the center line. That's going to receive quite a bit of incoming fire. And remember, this is behind this bow curve here. Although it's got quite a bit of armor in front of it, quite a few blocks in front of it. She's actually turning into a bit of an icebreaker with all that steel on the keel line. Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the engines being there, I would have said we can revert back to regular steel at this point here because of all that armor in front of that. But we're going to have to keep with the combat steel around the engines, and it needs to be solid wall in case one of those engines gets taken out. It needs to be like that. This is the end of our combat steel alignment, although we've got combat steel on there. That's because of the tunnel underneath. This is what I was wanting to make our hardened steel bulkhead, and then inside of this we can go back to regular steel. So what I could do here is I could put heavy windows in place there just so we can see the engines, and in fact that engine's upside down. Oh rats. Okay, let's have the symmetry plane off and let's bring in one engine. Oops. Forward. Oh, it's going to take forever to do that, isn't it? Back a bit. Number 8. Which way are you parked? That way. We want you down there. Do it on the floor, it's easier. Do it down there on the hanger. And I believe that's the way we want you, like that, and forward a bit, there, like that. Yeah, that's how we want it, so we can see the detail underneath, because they are pretty engines, you know. It's let's give the devs credit where credit's due. They made the engines very pretty. So combat steel, well, we can afford hardened steel in there. Yeah, if we're going to put combat steel there, just to finish out the combat steel rows, in there I think we can afford, well, if we put one combat steel there, let's see what we'll do. We'll do that, and then those can go to hardened steel. And that is one solid centerline block there. Absolutely solid. And then what we can do here, and if I go to this, go to the blocks, and I bring in, there they are. We're going to need 9 for each, so that's 18, isn't it? That, and let's make them a bit of a feature. So we want a nice rounded corner, I think, like that. And again, we should be doing symmetry with this. Would make it easier. Never mind. That, and then we want that one. There, and there, there, there. Move across to put this last one in, like that, and that one is just a plain glass square. Make sure it's on the right side of the block. It is. That goes there, that goes there. And then we get the multi-tool out again, and we go to reverse window. Just make it so that we can see the engine. That. So there we are, like that. That does the job. We can see the engines now. Now in ages past, and I might still do it, I would have actually put a door in here that allows us to get into these engines. In fact, you know what? Let's just quickly do that before we close out the video. So take that block out and let me have a look. Oh, I can't do it. I'll take these three out for now, like this, and come down, come in a wee bit, and I need to spawn in some doors, armored doors. I'm going to need, I think we're going to need 3 to do this properly. Yeah. Okay. So number 8. Put that like that. We want to switch that to the other one of those like that, and then we want a center door. Those are 2 wide, they're not 3 wide. Okay. We don't have a single center door here, so what I'll need to do is, that's 350 hit points. I want to keep the hit points as high as possible here. So yeah, we'll use that one. And now the question is, do we want it on the inner block there or the outer block here? I think we want it on the inner block there. Like that. And use a combat steel sheet. There, and come back, and that's got to rotate to there. It's going to be a bit jarring, that. What about if I do something like put that curve on it? Oops. Yeah, that might kind of do it, sort of. Problem is then that we don't have anything to put on the top of it to smooth that out. So what we'll do, we could use one of these, or even one of these. Hit points 1250. They're 1250. That's 12. So they're all the same hit points, but these just add a bit more detail to the place. That's windowed. That's the, if I remember rightly, Yeah, it's just an open window. It's not a do it that way on, or we do it that way, make it solid. No, I think we'll put a window in there. I've got an idea for later on when we come to do the painting and decorating. Do that like that. What that just does, that now allows us come through the door, and we've got an entrance into the engines here, so the engineers can get at it. And the door is not badly affected there by the width of the window. It still should be usable. Yeah, you can get in and out there, can't you? And then this gives the crew a little defendable position against boarding. And I can always take that block out and put a sentry gun in there just to defend this forward engineering bay. Right, that's the big thrusters in. That's about all we've got time for today, and I need to do some severe cutting out on this video just to get us organized. Wow, that combat steel's coming up there already, look. That's fine. That's actually fine. I can live with that, because that'll help me to work that area there, and to then pick it up on this roof as well, because we need pretty much the whole front section up to here. Well, that'll be hardened steel going through the ship there, right across the ship, and then forward of that it's all going to be combat steel, because the front of the ship is what takes the pasting most of the time. So we're going to get a good combat steel session in there, but we are definitely going to have to put more thrusters back in. The 2XLs fore and aft are not going to be enough to keep pushing the ship. So that's where we've got to so far on this week. I'll do a little bit more work on this to advance her forward a bit, ready for the start of next week's video. That's Codename Broadsword, progressing and evolving as she builds. Hope you're enjoying this. Let me know in the comments. Any tips, any tricks, post them down below, share them with everybody. Look forward to seeing you next time. This is the Gazbeard out. Bye for now.